and the discussions. I was thinking about opening up some other forums, maybe someplace, and maybe having just a real back and forth live, like a Zoom call or something. We could do something like that. It's interesting because the penetration of AI is pretty big, and it should, so there are definitely legal issues, especially in the intellectual property area, and it's going to change the world at the way we look at even entertainment and stuff. But yeah, and the final sixth slide is I'm just going to give some of my opinions on how to strike a balance on the AI front. So let's get into it. The promise of AI. Healthcare, early disease detection, which is analytics. I mean, that's the basic core of AI. I mean, the basic purpose of AI is to have analytics. I switched this slide, but yeah, I mean, early disease detection. That means getting to know. There's years ago there was also the first AI that started analyzing people based on their medical anamnesis and actually trying to predict death, and it came pretty accurately to the results of they gave it some medical records, said, when do you think this person's going to die? And the computer calculated it and said, oh yeah, this person's going to die in that age because of the medical record and the family history and stuff like that. So yeah, it was pretty accurate. So that's the why does this keep slipping? Early disease detection, then new drug discovery. What AI can do, AI can definitely help analyzing and combining and predicting what drug is going to do, and I'm going to give you some example of how that's already being implemented. And then the other thing is personalized treatment plans. Yeah, again, a doctor has a certain set of rules, but he may not know all the information. This is where malpractice comes in, and that's the next step. Is you look at a certain sickness, but with a different people based on their medical history, genetics, and stuff, they may react differently. But the AI, it has access to a wider range of data instantly, whereas the doctor would take a little bit more time to really study it. So AI can go through it a lot quicker. So it improves patient outcomes, and it does reduce medical errors. So malpractice is going to be minimized maybe due to AI, although it works both ways. If you don't put in the data right, it may be a much broader malpractice. So, well, we'll see how that develops. Definitely without any dispute, efficiency. AI is extremely efficient in everything it does. So it streamlines business processes. I mean, that's been a proliferation of that in a huge amount in many, many companies. I mean, a lot of companies don't even move without going into an AI thing, which AI analytic tool. I mean, so this in turn increases productivity. So because people don't have to spend that much time on analyzing, they just get a result that the AI spits out, and here we go. So that's the increased productivity, and then all of that. And that was one of my LinkedIn posts. I said, what's going to happen? Like the AI and robotics are going to free up a lot of time of people, because things that used to take you 2 days will take you now a couple of hours. What are you going to do with the rest of the time you save? Well, for people like me, I will keep creating, and it will only make me more creative, effective, and I will work on that aspect. But will everybody? Will people just lay down and just watch Netflix all day? I don't know. As a society, I'm not talking about individuals. I mean, maybe, you could say what you feel you would be doing. What if you could get a whole week's worth of work done in one day? What would you do with the rest of the days? It's an interesting question. Leave a comment. Let me know. I just work, create, and do fun stuff, but something that would benefit me and everybody. So that's just me. So let me know what you think on that aspect, because that's one of the big discussions that I've been thinking about over the last couple of weeks. Next, we have security. Security is a whole different topic altogether, because there's several aspects into it. Number one is definitely will make transportation safer, because it can monitor a lot greater areas and make predictions and sort of streamline the traffic flow, and then can divert people and can help police officers direct traffic and stuff like that. There's actually places that it's being implemented as we speak, and yeah, the results are hopeful. People are hopeful that the results will be excellent. It will reduce accidents. So the question is, if we can get AI to reduce accidents, will that also lower insurance premiums? What do you think? I think they will find a way to raise them again anyway, because we have to implement AI, and so that's more expensive. So yeah, you get into less accidents, but it's more expensive for us to watch you, so we'll charge you more again. Here's a little hike increase. So that's this is fun. Next is optimizing traffic flow, which basically means it's going to start sending people different way and different route, and then maybe it can even, like, if you put into Google Maps, and most people use Google Maps, or some people in the area use, for example, Apple Maps and stuff. Then the AI can say, okay, well, you can send 200 people this way and 200 people that way and 300 people here, and then, this street cannot handle that many that bigger volume of cars or traffic, so we can't send anybody there. So that's kind of like online monitoring and optimizing the traffic flows. Cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a big one, because cybersecurity is a two-edged sword. People say, AI can penetrate through passwords and firewalls and anything else, but on the other hand, it can protect against the penetration of that. So it can devise and monitor and stuff. I'll get into that again, but so that's the promise of AI, is better cybersecurity, but of course always have the good and the evil. And so, the evil guys will use that and the good guys will use that. So, who's better? Still going to be the same. It's just going to be the societal struggle will still be the same, except on a different plane and different speeds and with different tools, and so that's where we're at. Humanitarian efforts. Humanitarian efforts the AI is excellent in tackling global challenges. I mean, climate change. Climate change is definitely real. I just read something about actually the climate change being real, and it's being caused by people extracting too much underground water, for example. Again, and you could plug all these data sets into it and say, okay, well, maybe we need to reduce CO emission this way, but then we also need to get the underground water usage down in this area, and then we need to get rid of relocate this garbage, and maybe like, for example, even EVs are great, because in EVs you're going to have a lot of displacement of the CO. So EVs for long distance travel. Just talked to people at a car dealership here, and he says, they're not really selling, because we're not in an area where there would be high density of people. So EVs are not selling that well, but in the city settings where you don't have to drive 600 miles anywhere, EVs are great, and it will say, well, now you have 5 million cars in a city. If we can knock that down to 2 million of EVs, and then the rest only combustion engines, well, maybe that model is going to be different. Now we can move this over here. So it's, and then you could take that and you could apply it in other cities and other places, and then you could, again, analyze it and stuff. Those are very complicated analytic models, and AI is great for that, and that's what we got to use it for. So, Next one is disaster response. There is a disaster, you got to know where to go. You got to know where to find people that something can happen to, and then get solutions. So, definitely disaster response improves and it saves people's lives. So in this case, definitely a plus, a good on the side of the good. Poverty alleviation. I guess it's combined more with the access to education, I would say, because, the more education you get out there, of course, the more productive people will get, and I guess it should in the future, and the expectation is that it will improve the people's lives across the globe. So, let's hope for that. That's why even the icon I put in here. It kind of reflects that idea. So, impact on vulnerable communities. Well, again, that's because they don't have, again, the education, the access to information. That's just the communities will get access to better information and more help a lot quicker and cheaper, and that's the key of it. So, now to the dark side. And the dark side is just about as interesting as the benefits, because here we have bias and fairness. Well, bias and fairness. Let's look at that one. AI is a equation, an algorithm, and it just does 1 plus 1, that's 2, and that's simple as that. And it is trained, large language models are trained on data that's out there on the internet. But to the algorithm, data is data. Data is not true or false. So if it says it on the internet, ChatGPT or Bard or any other Lambda, they will take that information, they will use it, and they'll say, okay, it exists, that means somebody wrote it. Is it true or not? And that's where that human oversight comes in. So it can be biased, it can be racist. If you train it on, Mein Kampf, I guess it would just kind of, would lean right. If you train it on the, Communist Manifesto, I guess it would be a communist ChatGPT. I mean, it's not the fault of the computer. Computer is not human, doesn't have emotions. It's just, sometimes it can fake emotions, so-called, or manifest them, but they're not real. They're just, again, calculated. Well, I should do this because the humans are more emotional, so we should use equation or result from equation 25D, and that one said that we need to use response 3C. So that's that. But the biases that are in there now, and people say, oh, well, this is bias, this is this. It comes from the data that's out there. It's just as good as the data you put in is what you're going to get out. And also, the next point on there is who creates this data? Well, who creates these algorithms? They're created by programmers. Programmers have opinions, and since programmers have opinions, those will inevitably end up in the algorithms. So, again, it's not something that this is smart. This is a smart AI. This is a stupid AI. This is a politically correct. This is a politically incorrect AI. Well, that is irrelevant. And people just make a big deal out of it. They don't realize it's between the data and the programmers, and that's why there needs to be a big discussion. Again, I said, we got to get into this discussion thing, and I wish we work on that all as a humanity all together, not this political party, not that political party, not that interest group, and not the other interest group. Oh, well, these guys are good, so we're going to have them in our discussion. Well, these guys are bad. Who's to say? So, and the other dark side of it is if you let AI decide judicial cases, for example, it lacks emotion. It lacks the human aspect of it. So it will say, okay, well, this crime is 5 to 10, and it's been a third time, blah, blah, blah. And it will give that person the 10. It will, because that's data. Now, there's no human compassion in it. It's just an algorithm. So there may be, the AI is not going to take into consideration a lot of things unless somebody puts it in. But it's not there. It doesn't see it. It doesn't see the emotion. It doesn't detect it. Not yet. The time may come. I'm not saying it's impossible, but not right now. Not right now. So, this is, definitely part of the bias and fairness. It's too fair. And again, it's too fair based on the algorithm. Privacy and security. Privacy and security is, I'm doing good. I'm moving along here. I'm almost on slide, 2, 3 out of 6. Privacy and security. Reliance on vast amounts of data raises concern. Well, again, a large language model. You put a lot of data into it. Anything you put a lot of data into, it's going to use that data. And then who handles that? Who handles that data? Who's got access to it? Those are the questions you need to be asking. And they're concerning. There is just now, I think it was over 100,000 ChatGPT users access personal information people put in were leaked to the dark web. So, be careful what you put into these things because you don't know who's going to be handling it. Yes, some development team in Indonesia or at OpenAI, but then they also have those people that are verifying the data. I forget what that name is now, but they're getting paid a couple of dollars and they're verifying the data put in, not that you put in, but the data that it collected from the web. And you don't know what's happening with that data. So that same thing is, and that's another discussion to be had is where did they get that data, how to do it and stuff, how to give them access and who gave them the rights to use that data to be learned on. That's number 4, the copyright. But yeah, this is privacy and security is a big issue, and we'll see how that's going to go. But personal information and preventing misuse are vital, and coding capabilities of the AI are amazing. It does make mistakes, but it will correct and find vulnerabilities. So it can create viruses and malware to breach firewalls at a lot faster pace probably than most humans. But then again, like I said before, on the other hand, you can have an AI that detects this and does countermeasures as well. Job displacement. Now, that's a big one because job displacement is leaves people, because the efficiency of the AI leaves a lot of people worried. Why? Well, very simple, because people, there's millions of articles now. Oh, these jobs are going to go first. These jobs are going to go second. There are certain jobs, analytic jobs, that may disappear, but overall, I don't think we have to worry about that much, about that many jobs disappearing. I think it's going to go more in a way of we have people that use AI in their job, and they're going to be more efficient. And then people who don't know how to use AI, and they're going to lose out. So that's maybe, I don't think that AI will fully replace, but people who use AI will replace the ones who don't embrace AI tools and models and whatever else. So basically that leads to point number 2, which is the need for reskilling the workforce. The workforce has to completely approach, AI is game changer. It literally changes the game of everything. And the question is, what do we do with it? Whether it's for the good or bad, it's mostly for us. And then the way we see it, if we're afraid of change, if we're afraid of getting reskilled, yeah, it poses a threat to us. It's an issue. But if you just kind of say, okay, well, it's here. It's kind of like when the calculators came out. I can just, people are like, oh, calculators, that's cheating. Well, it's out there. It's a tool. We as humans have devised it. Let's use it. Let's embrace it. Let's move on with it. And let's get more effective. So, uncertainty in society, which jobs will be first? So that's, like I said, just you can Google that, and there's millions and millions of those articles on that topic. So next, copyright infringement. Oh, we got an accident. Oh, something fell off here. But nothing broken. Everything's good. Nothing that cannot wait another few minutes. Copyright infringement. Copyright infringement. Big lawsuit from Reddit against AI tech firms. Something came out last week because the issue with AI language models is, okay, you got AI, you got this stuff. Now you're gonna teach it something. You're gonna learn. You're gonna, the AI needs the data. What did it get the data? Well, the trick in that lawsuit is the data was obtained from the internet. And Google's been indexing websites for years and years and years. So okay, we're all agreed. Google is good. We want it. We can use it. It's great. It's helping us. So we get indexed and we get found, and they got the whole SEO. So basically, Google was using that was using that data to index your sites in sort of a quiet exchange for being found by Google, who now has more than 90% of the market share. So that's fine. But now Google, as well as all the large tech companies, are taking this data that you've created, or Reddit users and the big firms like New York Times pays big money to its writers to write content. Now Google doesn't pay a dime, or the ChatGPT, OpenAI doesn't pay a dime to New York Times to use all those articles to train their models. But now they take the language models, AI, and they sell that information because you want to have a premium, you want to have this, and then the API access and all this, and that all costs money. So now they're generating money. They're generating money because they obtained a lot of learning training data for free, and now they're making money on it. So Reddit is bringing out a lawsuit that this should be, something that should be monitored, and they should get their consent, and maybe they're going to be entitled to some rights. This is going to be an interesting one. So watch out for that. And this ties into the intellectual property and copyright laws. And I'm running out of time already, but you have, for example, somebody writes a song. Well, okay, so that's the author of the song, that's the writer, composer. They all got their rights for that. Now AI can actually use that, learn, and create something new. But again, it's using that. It may not be just replicating that particular song. It's not going to regenerate the video and then create it automatically because there's copyright. So, it was generated by AI. It's not really from the artist. But the problem comes in, for example, with voice. And that was another big debate, and there's going to be another big lawsuit that's going to have to be decided. And that's because you have impressionists, and if you have an impressionist, what are you going to do? Well, the impression, I'll name one above all. It's Dana Carvey. He does all the presidents. He's the greatest George Bush probably that ever lived, maybe better than George Bush himself. But he's doing an impression of the president. Well, everybody knows that Dana Carvey's an actor. Everybody knows that, but it can sound very similar. It does sound very similar. He does a perfect one. But now when the AI does it, the AI can do the same thing as Dana Carvey, only better and in greater numbers, and just can do that. So now the debate is, that voice, who does that belong to? Does that belong to AI, or should the artist that has that identical, unique voice, should he be compensated for it? Well, that's the question. We'll see. So that's the one. And then, of course, number 3, and number 4 in the column number 4 is misinformation, images, videos. They've been around all the time. They're just getting better now, and there's going to be a lot bigger volume because it's much easier it's wide openly accessible, so it's easier to generate. It's easier to mislead people, stuff like that. Anyway, so let me just fly through these and see these AI benefits and examples. Healthcare, signs of diabetic retinopathy from an eye scan with more than 90% accuracy in lab only, though. It was Google Health started doing this, and they got 90% accuracy just by scanning your eye. They got 90% accuracy on detecting diabetes. Well, then they took that study to real life. You can just look it up, and the real life, the statistic lab environments, it was great. In real life, it wasn't that effective. With the elderly people, the thing is you're gonna, they're in there and they need to communicate with somebody. They're in a hospice or something, or even just something, a minor thing. But an older person needs compassion, needs more empathy and stuff. And so the algorithm of AI is actually more effective in giving empathy than many of the doctors and nurses who are stressed out over a lot of things. So, the AI in that role is very effective. Got some issues, technical issues here. No. I need to set this to 4. Okay, so that's that one. We're back. And the next one is AI-generated nanoparticles proof capable of delivering modern medicines to diseased cells. So, that's an AI use. It's going to be more effective against cancer. So, efficiency, data entry, remedial jobs like entering data. Those are very easy now to replace, and those probably will be one of the first ones that will be replaced, but those people can move on and do other things, more productive things, better. Customer service, FAQ, frequently asked questions. Always a good one and always a big one, and we'll see how those will go. But if you use it, AI can make this better. AI is, you could, for example, if you can have 5 people working, they can handle, 25 different customer service tasks in an hour. Now with the AI can handle a lot of that. So now you can handle more customers. You don't have to fire those 5 people. They can just focus on specific, unique issues that the customers have. But the more generic stuff, and now the bigger your company, the more people you would need to hire, and they're not going to be that good as much as in a repetitive, because AI will give them the same, to these simple tasks, to simple inquiries, it will give a lot better answer. So that's in that. Also, forecast demand, explore customer behavior. Those are 2 things that you can use AI for and make yourself a lot more accessible and easier to find, etc. And also to know where you're going to find your customers at what point and what they're going to be interested in. So, and forecasting demand is this very good for the production industries and stuff, because this is where we're going to need more of something, so we can just get ahead of the curve and just start producing it a month earlier, rather than be surprised that now there's this big demand that we didn't expect. Security, Darkbird. Darkbird is something that we've had a bunch of YouTube shorts on, and what it is it's basically an AI model, kind of like ChatGPT, but made for the dark web. You could look at our Global Productions channel, and you will find some information on there. It basically is some of the shorts focused on it. It's an AI model that watches your personal data. That's, again, what I was talking about, how it could be used for good or for bad. But Darkbird searches the dark web for leaked personal data and lets users know all your data was stolen here and there. So now it's exposed. Maybe you need to change those passwords and stuff like that. So it just compiles this data that is being used or abused on the dark web. Analyzing vulnerabilities and remedy measures. Again, security. Well, it's monitoring, it sees an attack, it says, okay, well, this is the attack to this, and okay, there's a vulnerability, let me just update the code, fix it, and we're all good to go. So that's going to be on that. And transportation management, I already mentioned, but just to say, here, the Transportation Management Center, TMC, in the US is using it already, implementing, and we'll see it being fully launched very soon. And you may see some city traffic fixed up a lot quicker than we would normally anticipate. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Humanitarian efforts, 2 examples. 2019 AI-supported disaster mapping helped humanitarians to provide a swift emergency response in Mozambique to the cyclone Idai. And then web-based AI learning systems can save money on providing broader access to quality education, because, for example, again, there's a lot of nonprofits that build schools in Africa, but now all they got to do is just give them access to a web-based AI learning system. It saves a lot of money. So that's that. Ethical considerations. Military. How far will we allow AI to control our military decision making? Kind of like the movie War Games. Would you like to? Hello, Professor Falcon. Would you like to play a game of chess? I want to play tic-tac-toe. So that's military war games. And then one thing that I've read into, that I found out as I'm searching through all these things, is AI started in numerous settings, including the military, in the Navy. The surveillance system started creating a unique language, which not even the military understood, because they just evolved. I was watching some of the patterns, and it's like, it just changed it sort of like into a shorthand, kind of like just wrote the letters, but instead of that, it actually just said it's to just use the number 2, and it's like, well, it understood that it's 2 together and stuff. So it's kind of like it looked for its own language patterns. AI hallucinations. Those are one of the bigger problems that we've discovered, or not me, but the scientists working with that. Because AI hallucinations, there's an AI error in the algorithm, and as a byproduct, This is called hallucinations, but what it does is generates its own data, an algorithm, then reinforces it as true. It says try here, it's true, typo, sorry. And it's an undesired effect that's being studied, but it's like, it will tell you, oh, this thing is, this guy was there at that time and stuff, and it just comes up because he doesn't have a response, so it makes one up, and then just the algorithm, instead of watching and say, oh, this is AI generated, it says, no, this is true, and it runs through the cycle of learning 4 times internally, and it poses it as true. Personal data, I already mentioned that a little bit, collection of data and use in broad systems such as the large language models is not as much of an issue, only to who's handling all that stuff. However, this is going to become a problem once you get into the general language models, because they will have a lot more access. So like general language model can actually create a persona and kind of fake your voice and get into your banking system, whatever else, but that's because you give it a little bit more power. So I'm not really afraid of the AI, but there will be some things that we do need to be worried about. Ethical frameworks. Just run through this one. Fairness, accountability, and transparency. FATs focuses on addressing bias, ensuring transparency in decision making, and being accountable for the impact of AI systems. Ethical AI principles. Organizations and researchers have proposed ethical guidelines to guide the development and deployment of AI systems, emphasizing values like fairness, privacy, and human-centric design. Regulatory measures. Governments are implementing policies and regulations to address AI-related concerns, including data protection, algorithmic transparency, and responsible AI development practices. Regulation, how do you feel about that? I feel that we should regulate, but the less the better. So, because kind of like not so long ago was an anti-TikTok bill that basically victimized or made a felon out of every American that uses VPN. It's like, when you give something to the government, it takes it all the way. So, like Ronald Reagan said, if the government knocks on your door and says, we're here to help, you better run. So that's a regulation. And I'm not saying that we don't need any regulation, but common sense. Striking a balance. How do we get to a balance? Well, interdisciplinary collaboration, continuous evaluation, and education and awareness. Those are basically 3 main things. And this is the continuous evaluation is something that the developers have to do and kind of have to work with. The interdisciplinary collaboration is where like everybody needs to come together. And this is one thing that I'm trying to, that's why I was suggesting, I was like, I'm open to having discussions, even Zoom, doing a meeting, meetups maybe, where we could just, if anybody's interested in talking about it, how to implement these things, what to watch out for, what the new developing legal frameworks are. So those are all things that are interesting, and we'll see how that's going to work. But this is something that we need to be aware of and working on and finding a balance. I mean, this, again, I don't know what your position is, but mine is AI is predominantly good. We just can't let the evil aspects of it dominate our lives. We just need to kind of just, always the struggle, the yin and yang, the good versus evil thing. And then education awareness, inform people. Don't be afraid. It's just you need to learn to use it and not be abused by it or you abuse it. And awareness. Listen, for example, awareness is important in misinformation because, say, listen, you look at closer, you take a really closer look. Like, used to be like, oh yeah, you could see this is a fake picture. Now you got to take a real close look. So you need to really, really, really make people aware and tell them, listen, before you say anything is true, take a closer look. Unfortunately, closer than ever before. That's the bad aspect of it. You gotta tell people, listen, you gotta look really close. But even the fake videos and fake whatever, everything, the music productions, and there's always a little error or little deviation from the standard in the intonation, in some kind of a presentation. You always find something, a little something that will just not feel right. So you just got to be more detailed about it than ever before. That's all. And so, AI is a game changer. So we need to adapt it. We need to learn to live with it and to become more effective with it. So that's that. Anyway, I don't even know how long this was, but yeah, it's been pretty long. Been went over time again, but thank you for your attention. NC Web Dev Digital Marketing Series webinar for June 29th is over. If you have any questions, you can email me. You know, we can, like I said, if you're interested in having these discussions, we could do something, just an open discussion of some sorts where all like 5, 10 people in the, 20 people in the group, just have a discussion, talk about it, online, offline. I'm all for that. So I'll see you next week, and how to start promoting on YouTube, because we started our YouTube channel, and as of yesterday, we finally got a video with over 2,000 views, and after 3 months, and I'm going to talk about our journey there a little bit, and I want to have my son talk there too. So if you're interested in using YouTube to promote your stuff, next week we took it from absolute zero to now over 2,000 views on a video. So in 3.5 months. Come next week. See you next week. Have a great rest of Thursday and the rest of this week.